Hey, welcome to Buckeye Review News and our Black History Month special presentations or conversations. I'll call it Conversations in Black. Why? Because we're having conversations and they impact the Black community. But as we talk about with Black history, what is Black history? It is American history that much of it has been erased. The last time we got together, we spoke about, well, you may have seen us talk about Black love this past weekend, just before Valentine's Day. And Dr. Linda McNair, myself, I'm Dr. Mike, you see it on screen. We were picking up on themes of love, as we always like to do. But because the Buckeye Review is a general circulation news publication, although it's targeted for African Americans and has been around since 1937, we are responsible to reach a wide variety of topics, of interest, of age groups, of genres, music, etc. And we are pleased to be custodians over this rich, important community resource that was founded in 1937 in Youngstown, Ohio. And we have subscribers in 200 cities and 26 states. So if you're in one of those cities in Los Angeles, California, New York, Miami, Florida, Detroit, Michigan, Warren, Ohio, Columbus, Cincinnati, I want you to tune in. I want you to show your Buckeye Review colors. Buckeye Review live from Youngstown to Houston, for example. We had a feature on our Houston subscribers one time, not too long ago. So if you're from Houston or Dallas or one of those cities, want us to join. So I'm just tap dancing here now because I want to introduce tonight our discussion about mental health. We have some mental health professionals that will be discussing core beliefs and empowerment and also aging with grace. We're doing some book club discussions, and you will want to know that you can pick up the Buckeye Review on Facebook Live or on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, and find out some of the book clubs that are going on. There's one called the Greater Youngstown Dialogue on Racism. We are studying the book called, what's the name of that book? The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. The Color of Law, the hidden story or the hidden history of how the federal government segregated America. And it's an important study. I think my column is coming out next month. We'll go into a little more detail about that, but how the suburbs were created by the federal government for whites only with public tax dollars. P.S. It wasn't white tax dollars, it was all tax dollars. So it was a great wealth transfer from the Black community to the white community. So that's important. And we're going to have a discussion next week with Betty Dobson, the founder of CMOTEP, and she's going to talk a little bit about the youth empowerment issue and how protests and African American progress has been made over the years. So for right now, I want to bring in our special guest for tonight. And let me get out of my full screen and add Gloris Griffin to the conversation. Gloris Griffin is a licensed professional clinical counselor, but she is the founder of a full-service mental health agency here in Youngstown, Ohio, the first African-American owned full service. So before we get into your presentation, Gloris, can you explain to us what does full service mental health mean?
Well, we offer services, mental health and substance abuse in our area. We offer groups for mental health and addictions. And we're proud of that. The counselors that we have at our agency, they absolutely love They do. And we're proud of what we're bringing to the community.
I know that we had the privilege of participating or witnessing the ribbon cutting. Was it last year or the year before?
Last year, we've
Okay,
been
the
open
time
for a
is
full
flying. You know,
year.
COVID kind of mixed things up, but
Yeah, it does.
um, it was quite a wonderful undertaking, and it was packed. Your office, I mean, in less than a year, you've already changed offices because you've outgrown it.
Yes, we have.
So apparently, there's quite a need for mental health services in the community, and we're pleased to be able to promote what you do, partner with you in what you're doing, and certainly are pleased to welcome you to our conversations in Black this evening. And I know you're gonna be talking about, well, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I want to turn it over to Gloris Griffin. She's going to share with you. I'll add your presentation to the screen and let you take control of it, and you can get started. And what I'll do is kind of monitor for our Facebook Live and YouTube listeners, watchers, participants, whoever might tune in for comments or questions. So if you're listening, you have a question or a comment, I'll be trying to monitor. I want you to stay focused on what you want to talk about. Is that okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Take it away, Gloris Griffin.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. One thing I want to talk about is empowerment through adapting core beliefs. I really do believe in empowerment. I do a group on empowerment, and the core to it is our core beliefs. And that starts in childhood. And that's what I want to talk about tonight, because what we say to our children and what we say to other people affects how they view themselves. And those core beliefs lead your life. So that's what I want to talk about tonight. So
Mhm.
that's where we're going to begin.
So I mean, you'll probably say it already. And I almost want to jump in and ask a question. So what are
Okay.
some things that we hear as children that might um, damage us?
Okay. I'm going to that.
Yeah,
I'm
I figured
pretty
you
sure
would. So
on
I'm gonna hold my peace.
that. So, what I'm going to talk about tonight are what are core beliefs, how our core beliefs are developed. I'm going to give you some examples of it. I'm going to talk about core beliefs and negative automatic thoughts. I'm going to help you identify your core beliefs. I'm going to talk about preventing self sabotage, empowering yourself by adapting your core beliefs. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the business world with that and education. Okay.
Okay.
So, a little bit of abnormal psychology in there. Uh-oh. And we got the wrong PowerPoint loaded. Uh-oh. So I'm gonna
Okay.
have to wing it without it.
All right.
Okay. Because we got the other one. I had two of them made up and the wrong one loaded.
Okay.
So Mike, I'm gonna have you pull that one down and I'm just gonna wing it without it.
All right.
Okay. So basically core beliefs are just that. The core beliefs are the core of your identity. It influences everything that you do. It is shaped by childhood experiences because they are deeply ingrained in the belief that you have about yourself and others and the world around you. These beliefs impact how you feel, how you relate to others, and they guide the satisfactions of your life and your relationships. Our core beliefs feel like truths. And because of this, it can be very difficult to alter the way that you feel about these things. These false truths that we accept lead to our continual insecurities and self doubt. They cause low self esteem, they cause low moods, and consistently desires validation and approval, which can lead to ineffective behavioral patterns such as people pleasing and perfectionism. And when you think about that, it's like our core beliefs cause us to try to be perfect all the time. And you had these thoughts. So when you think about with your parents, when your parents are putting a lot of pressure on their children, and they're trying to become perfect. And they have these I'm not good enough thoughts as a child. And it leads to those thoughts of I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. And that's how sometimes they begin to adapt these negative core beliefs. And those are some of the things that causes these things. And we want to change these thoughts so that we can begin to empower our children. And those are some of the things that I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
So it gets to the point where our behaviors begin to validate our core beliefs. And ignoring those things that go against we begin to ignore the things that go against our core beliefs. So the positive things that we need to pay attention to, we don't, because it goes against what our core beliefs are. So someone is telling you something positive, but you can't accept that because it goes totally against what your core beliefs are. Those things that are deeply embedded in you.
That now you just said a mouthful there, and I really apologize for interrupting, but but because I want to make sure that I introduce Dr. Linda McNair to the conversation.
Okay.
But in the face of a positive message, if we've been filled with so many negative messages, that just saying that you are kind, you are important, you are special, doesn't make it go away.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No. But it's a way to change that around.
Okay. Awesome.
And that's where the empowerment comes in. That's where the empowerment comes in. And it's about empowering yourself. And that's one thing that we teach in our groups. What we want to learn is that your empowerment comes from within you. You don't need somebody else to lift you up. You need to learn how to lift yourself up. That's where that inner strength comes from.
Oh, you got to do it yourself.
You got to do it yourself because you don't want to live your life off somebody else's whim. You want to learn to build yourself up. That's where that self-love comes from.
Self-love, empowerment, and encouraging ourselves. That sounds like a mouthful, especially if I've been filled with negativity. And often these messages show up in our psyche before we're able to verbalize them. So I don't know yet, but I feel like because of my neighborhood, my skin color, my education or whatever, I've been getting all of these negative messages. And so I guess you're going to talk a little bit and about the importance of undoing some of the negative things and changing the process for moving forward. Is that right?
Right. Because if you think about it, sometimes core beliefs can lead to cognitive distortions, meaning you get an inaccurate view of reality. And that's exactly what a cognitive distortion is. So, for example, when you have to adapt your cognitive beliefs or your core beliefs, right? But if it's something that's been embedded in you since you was a child, that's like your name is Mike. All your life, your name has been Mike. And then all of a sudden, if you have to think about changing your name, that's hard because you've been Mike all your life. So the thought of having to change that, it don't feel right, right? Even though it's something you may know you need to do. You know what I mean? So it's like, wow, this is really going to be hard, but it can't be done. You know what I mean? And so that's what it's like when you try to change your core beliefs. It's going to be difficult in the beginning, but to learn how to adapt that. And one of the things that we work on a lot is learning to say, when you have that feeling that I'm not good enough and have that feeling for so long, to learn to adapt that to I am good enough. And that's one thing that we work on. And when you learn to say that and you learn to accept the fact that I am good enough, it's a good feeling. It's a wonderful feeling. And what we do is we teach you how to adapt that. And that is empowering.
I'm thinking about that imposter syndrome.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That basically what you're saying is,
exactly.
Okay, I showed up here in grad school. I showed up here in corporate America. I got the job I wanted, but it's like, in the back of my mind, something's gnawing at me. I don't think I deserve it.
Yes.
I-
Yes.
I- So it does take, some work. And I think it's continuous, the work. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we think about it, and like even with the development of these core beliefs, I gave someone an example of this today. And we as parents, we love our children. And I'm always talking about generational curses or things that we've passed down because we love our children. And we don't even think about the mistakes that we make. And sometimes it's out of love. People always think of negative things that we say to our children, but sometimes we say things to our children to try to comfort them,
Hmm.
and we don't even realize that it's wrong, but it's out of love. For instance, and I know I'm guilty of this with my own children, and it comes out of things that I went through as a child. A child comes to their mother and say, "Mommy, I feel like no one likes me. No one, I feel like none of the kids want to play with me. Don't nobody like me. I feel like I'm going to be alone." And the first thing you tell your child is, "Baby, you wrong. That's not right. They like you. You're wrong. You're wrong." And over again, you tell your children, "That's not true. You're wrong." Well, what you're doing is you're not validating their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what you're doing is you're teaching this child that what they feel is wrong. And but we think that's right, but it's not. Because now what we're teaching them as they grow up is that your feelings are wrong. And sometimes a child will take that and now they're thinking, "Oh my goodness, what I feel is wrong." When in fact, it is what it is sometimes. Sometimes not everyone's going to like you, but that's okay. You
Hmm.
don't have to be liked by everybody. It's okay. It's hard because we think about when we were children how it felt not to be liked.
Well, come on now.
You know what I mean? But it's okay. Not everybody has to like you. It's okay for you to be you.
Right.
You don't have to be popular. You don't have to be all of these things, but we know how it felt, you know,
Hmm.
and it's okay. And it's hard, but that's something that we need to teach our children. We have to validate their feelings. Hmm. Yeah. And those are the things that we have to teach. Yeah. So that's part of core beliefs. It's hard, but those are the things that we have to work with our children when we have to work with other people with. And once we work on developing those things and learning to accept yourself and love yourself for who you are,
Mm-hmm.
those are empowering.
Mm-hmm.
Teach people to accept themselves for who they are, that you don't have to impress other people, that it's okay to be you. And that's
That's
a
good.
part of empowering people.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did you want to share your PowerPoint?
You know what? I'm going to try to load the other one up.
Oh, okay.
Somehow we got the wrong one in.
Okay. So you then you could go ahead and keep talking.
Okay.
That's fine from your
Desiree,
notes.
can you see if you can find it? Yeah, because it has some really good points on it. I can try to I'm trying to pull it up this way. Um, did you use it to Mike? She said she sent it to you, Mike.
Send it to me. Okay, I'll check.
You see the right one?
I will
And see
check.
if you put two on it.
And
You sure that's the right one?
all right, I'm checking now. Meanwhile, we'll I'm thinking about while I'm checking. I'm just thinking about
Is it
the heavy lifting.
No, it don't have abnormal on it.
I'm thinking about the heavy
That's the
lifting.
wrong one. We keep pulling the wrong one.
So, okay,
Okay, I'm so sorry.
is it called empowerment?
Yeah, but it doesn't have a blue face on it.
All right, here we go.
While you get the PowerPoint,
Okay.
I can go ahead and get started and we'll just come back to you. Is that
Okay,
okay?
that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, because I know you went through all this here trouble to do your PowerPoint, and I want people to be able to see it. So, and maybe Erin out there can help you with that. And so for now, I'll go ahead and start my presentation.
Okay, that'll be
Okay.
perfect. Okay.
Okay. So,
All right. I'd like to introduce Dr. Linda McNair.
okay. Thank you so much. Um, Thank you for joining us in this great month of February where we represent and where we celebrate Black history. And we know that Black history is 24/7, 365 days of the year. We are always making history. But we're going to pause this month just to, again, highlight some things. One of the things I wanted to highlight, there's so much in mental health, but one of the things that's been on my mind is thinking about aging. Yeah, that's what happens when you reach a certain age. You begin to think about aging, and I reached that age. So I'm going to start sharing my PowerPoint, and the first slide I go to is a comic where it says 91 this older lady is dialing 911 and she says, I like to report a crime. And what's the crime? Identity theft. I've become my mother. So if we stop and we think about that, so it's pretty interesting because aging is a part of life. The best thing everyone can do is embrace it. And how do we do that? We make up our mind that someone this morning did not wake up. And so that's the sad part. So we have to just appreciate who we are at this time in our life.
Mm-hmm.
So as I go to this here next slide, I just wanted to bring out that life expectancy has changed. Back in the early 1900s and in the late 1800s, most people did not live past 47 or 50 years old. And today that has changed tremendously. And right now, when you think about elderly or me saying aging, what does that actually mean? Well, elderly can be difficult because it can vary from age to age. I mean, I was talking to my grandson a couple of weeks back, and he said, "Oh, 40 is old, 30 is old," and and so I was saying, "Well, gee, I used to think that way too." And when I got to 65, I said, "Wow, 65 is not old." And because I had the pleasure of working with people that were 80 and 90 that came into my office, it was really fantastic to see them because they weren't bent over, they weren't using any type of assistant device, and they were just fantastic. And so I said, now that's older, like 95 or 100. And it's really interesting because when you turn 50, everybody's going to be receiving something in the mail from AARP. And you know, and I remember when I got my letter in the mail from AARP, which is the American Association of Retired People. And I said, "What is this? At 50, you don't feel old. You don't feel old." But I just want to reiterate that when we talk about elderly or we talking about aging, all it is advanced in age. It's a later in life. You become a senior citizen. So aging is a process of becoming older. We're growing older. Aging is a natural process. Aging can bring a host of health issues. So I just wanted you to know that. Also, when you getting older, things change. Your hair color change, your skin change, your bones change, your muscle change,
You lose your hair.
you lose your hair.
I'm
So,
just saying.
so again, we get that way, but I want you to embrace getting older. I used to teach at YSU, the human development. And one of the things how I started my program is always I put a dot on the board, one dot, and that dot represented birth. And then I put another dot on the board, and that represented death. And I always tell people how you die is going to be determined on how you live. And you're asking yourself, well, gee, that sounds kind of off. Well, there's tasks in life that we have, So when you are younger and you're growing older, are you sharing love or are you sharing hatred?
Mm.
How much have you learned from your childhood and how much are you carrying into adulthood? We just heard the clinician Gloris talk about the things that happen in our childhood, how important that is to, your core beliefs. That's where it began. Also, are you willing to continue to learn new things? I know that when people retire, a lot of times when people retire, they stop doing everything. But I look at it now, since I've been retired for almost 3 years, I say, wow, that's really our time to live because we get a chance to do exactly what we want and the hours we want. So you have to be open to learning new things, and that's going to help determine your success. So when we look at birth and we look at death and we look at my circle right here, and you see all these here things, these are all tasks that each and every one of us have to complete in order for us to successfully move to the next stage. So when we look at the human development and we know the different stages, it's interesting because, look at what's expected of you. At age 1, you're walking. Age 2, you're trying to keep dry, getting potty trained. 16, you're learning how to drive. And so these are things that's expected of you. But as we go around the development cycle, notice the age at 65, we retiring, 70, we haven't, enjoying our grandkids. You can't really enjoy them much when you're working. So this is the time that you're enjoying them. If you look down at this here slide and you see at 95, you may begin to have trouble with walking. So what's expected as you get older, your bones, your joints, your muscles, all change with aging. Even your digestive system, your eyes, your ears, your bladder, your urinary tract, and your memory and your thinking, all of that begin to change. And you have to ask yourself, well, how do I stop that? How do I stop that change? Well, you really can't stop it, but you can embrace it and begin to think about ways while you're younger to help improve the latter years, such as listening. I remember when we were growing up in my day and age, they had boom boxes on their ear. They used to have a big box and they'd be walking around and you hear all the boom, the music, and it's loud next to their ear. Well, guess what? That does change your hearing when you get to old age. As you get older, that does change it. Just like with people wearing these here stilettos, you can do them until you're like 65, 70. But when you come home, you're going to have to put your feet in a bucket. Here's another comedy, again, because laughter is medicine. These here older people gave a surprise party to one of their friends. And one of the older people says, I told you this is not a good age to throw a surprise party. I mean, look what happened underneath the bench. Oh, no. So we have to stop and think. I wanted to bring some statistics to you just so you would know. Did you know that there's 15 million caregivers in America today? And the cost is $18 billion with billable hours for caring for the elderly. 5 million Americans today have Alzheimer's disease.
Wow.
1/3 will die from this disease. Alzheimer is the sixth leading cause of death in the elderly. Now that's a lot. So in the US population and aging by 2030, the number of people over the age of 65 will double from 35 to 72 million. And those over 85 will, go from 4 to 9 million. That's a lot of people. Currently, 13% of our population is over 65 years old. And that accounts for 36% of hospital stays, 49% of hospital days, and 50% of physician hours, costing Medicare $26 billion a year. Aging is a natural progress.
Mhm.
We need to know, what can we do to embrace aging?
So can I just change my number like the lady says in that commercial? Says age is just a number and mine is unlisted.
Unlisted. Right. Now you can say that to yourself until the cows come home. You got to look at your skin and look at the color of your hair and see everything beginning to disappear. Your cracks are coming in some places than other places. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that we need to begin to look at.
So my number is listed, huh?
Yeah, so your number is listed, even though you may not tell anybody, it's there. So aging is a normal process, and guess what? It's just a number, but you can't stop it. After 55 years old, illnesses begin to accumulate and causing disability. And that's what we're talking about today. The disabilities are there, but a lot of them can be avoided. How can it be avoided? Is, again, taking care of yourself. Eating right, exercising, staying mentally active. And mentally active have a lot to do with what Gloris was talking about as far as your core beliefs. Be staying mentally active. I like to tell people, get to know yourself, be self-aware of the things that are around you. I also have a friend that had a couple of strokes, and I have to remind them, you got to play those games on the phone because that's helping your brain mapping. Have a healthy diet, include, high fiber, good fruits, veggies, whole grains, and try and stay away from the high fats. Okay. Drink plenty of water. Don't mind going to the bathroom. I remember talking to some people at my church and they were saying, oh, I don't like drinking a lot of water because I have to go to the bathroom. Well, guess what? That water is good for you because it flushes you. It helps with our skin. I mean, did you know that most of the commercials that are on TV are geared towards the elderly? I mean, look at the little tubes that they put, little tubes that they sell and that help your skin tighten up, $50 and $60. And if it's that little, that means you got to buy it, every 2 weeks? And some people might even think if I use more of it, it'll tighten faster. I don't know.
But if you just drink more water, you probably would avoid,
Exactly.
or at least slow it down anyway.
I was reading a book, and they said, that older people should be going to the bathroom about every hour.
Oh, wow.
Because you need to flush your system. That water is good for us. And notice people don't drink so they won't have, because they don't want to do that. Also, as you get older, start playing games, finding new hobbies. Like I said, learn an instrument, do word puzzle games on your phone. Do different types of exercise, start walking, start swimming, but you got to stay physically active. Okay. More people are living longer than ever before. But guess what? You don't want to increase your numbers. Oh, my mother lived to be 98. Well, what was she able to do the last 5 years of her life? If
Right.
you say she was in bed, what good was that?
Mhm.
You know, you want to be able to say I'm 95 or 90, like a couple of my clients, and still driving, you know.
Mhm.
But and that's very rare to be 90 years old and still driving, because we lose a lot of things.
Mhm.
So the two most important things that happen with people that are aging, that and they feel this is very important, is their memory and mobility. Think about that for a little bit. Memory and mobility. So how do you remain young? Truth is, you can't. Our chronological age will just continue to increase. But it starts when you're young by eating healthy, exercising, getting the proper amount of water. Oh, yeah. And I left this out, and this is very important: enlarging your community. You got to enlarge your community. Ask me why? Because
Why?
that's our support system. A lot of
Absolutely.
older people don't have support system, you know,
Mhm.
and a lot of times they get angry when they have to lose their driver's license because, their reflexes are slower, they can't really see,
Mhm.
but that's only because they don't have that support system to help take them places. They get tired of asking people and they have to wait on them.
I'm thinking about that scripture that says it's not good for man to be alone. And I
Mhm.
know, growing up, they used to preach that as like, oh, that's a marriage scripture. You're supposed to get married, but that's not really what that is. I mean,
It's
certainly,
community. It's
yeah,
it's the
certainly,
community.
yeah. People.
Mhm.
We need people in our lives, and obviously, the older you get, some your more frequent visits are to the hospital and nursing homes and funerals
Doc,
sometimes.
right.
But
And doctors
indeed, we
support.
still need a community of support. How are you doing? Check in with people.
Mhm.
Music, playing games, like you said. A lot
Right.
of people do it at church, and we African Americans are largely churched people or highly religious, but we're not all. So
So,
if you're not, you still
Mhm.
should, play
right. Do
cards or
right.
canasta, travel
Right.
bug.
Do
And even
things
when you
to
think about your core beliefs, even with that, and when I go back and talking about that,
Mhm.
when you are afraid of the world around you,
Right.
and that's something that you've adapted, then that's going to affect that also, because some people are
Oh,
so
absolutely.
afraid of the
Mhm.
world. And when you have that
Absolutely.
deep rooted inside of you, how are you going to build that? What are you going to do when you get older and you have no one? Because you
Right.
Mm,
have that fear of the
mhm.
world.
Right.
Because
Back to
Absolutely.
what Dr. Linda said, is how you live your
Look
life.
how you
You,
lived your
yeah,
life from birth on around.
right.
And
you had
and we've
friends.
met, and I know all three of us can attest to meeting some really mean older folks.
Yes.
Really mean. And so on my slide right now, because I'm almost finished, I want to get back to the uh the core beliefs.
Mhm.
Short-term memory support group. Now, isn't that interesting? And so the speaker begins to say, "Good evening, everyone. You probably all wondering why you just walked into this room. That's a joke. Come on, y'all. Y'all supposed to laugh."
Short-term memory loss group.
Anyway, it's funny. So always remember, you're never too old to learn. Keep learning so you can grow wiser and leave a legacy.
Mhm.
Aging gracefully involves grace, compassion, and love.
Mhm.
And what I like to end with, you need to be social, you need to be honest. You need to be kind. Be transparent. Don't hide things from the people from your circle of friends.
Mhm.
Be transparent. Share what's going on in your life. And you can embrace aging well.
Which
Thank you
one?
guys.
Thank you, Dr. Linda. That was enjoyable, and I have to say I resemble those remarks.
Oh yeah, I didn't talk about muscle aches and pains and all them other good things, but that's for a later date.
Well, but I want to just maybe revisit the whole thing about drinking water, because it's so important. And we've heard it many times. Oh, I don't want to have to get up to go to the bathroom. indeed you better be glad you can,
Not looking.
and make sure you do, because your body needs water. And
Mhm.
if you drink, especially if you're not used to drinking a lot of water, I tell people to drink a full glass of water before you go to bed,
Mhm.
because your body is repairing while you're sleeping, and it needs water in order to do that. And then the other side of the coin is dehydration leads to a lot of negative physical things, and
Effects on your
you're
body.
actually dehydrating yourself by not drinking water. It's simple, it's free, and
Right.
yet we do it to ourselves. Maybe from a core belief. Huh?
Right. Exactly. And that's what I think of when I get up in the middle of the night. Oh man, I got to go to the bathroom again. But then I think in my mind, but I thank God I can get up, because
Right,
people can't get up,
right,
you
right.
know? So just be thankful and go ahead and go to the bathroom. But
Yeah, right, right.
this
Be
is such
thankful
a
you to
nice
have.
conversation, Mike.
Well, it's an aging thing, but because the number of people that are over 65, and that number is going to double in the next 8 years. You said by 2030, it's 2022. So that
Yeah.
number is going to double. So caregivers,
The
reaching out,
sandwich
all of those things.
generation,
Right, right,
they're going to have to learn about this.
okay,
Absolutely.
right,
And
right.
I always like to tell young people need to hear this because of their parents. They need to be able to stay in their parents' lives
And
and
help
know
them.
what's going on. And
Exactly.
that's why I said don't keep secrets from your loved one. Something is hurting and something is happening in your mind.
Hmm.
Share it with them.
Hmm.
They'll help you through this.
Enjoyed that presentation, Dr. Linda. That was excellent.
Thank
And
you.
Yes, it was.
So,
um,
Gloris, you ready now?
Yeah, she just went to the office and sent it to me. I'm trying to. Mike, did you get it?
I can check.
I'm
But while we're in that transition moment, I just want to remind those who may have checked this out, that we're having conversations in Black during Black History Month. But because we understand that Black History was a designated month based on the attempted erasure of Black contributions to American history, it's a good thing to raise up accomplishments.
Mm,
We're not, and we will continue to celebrate what African Americans have contributed to America, but more importantly, or in addition, we want to talk about mental health as we're doing tonight. We're talking about fighting disinformation, because
yes.
the society is filled
Misinformation.
with bad information, and disinformation is a purposeful misstatement made in order to harm someone, to harm society, to cause people to do bad, negative, nefarious things.
And
So,
also, Mike, to put the fear in people.
well,
Mhm.
right, right. So,
Bottom line is they put fear in people, then people are running the other way.
right, right. So I'm just saying that to disinformation is running rampant, but the truth is it can be overcome with accurate information.
Yes.
Yeah, we're on the internet, right? So we know that artificial intelligence and all these algorithms tend to placate negative information.
Mm-hmm.
Negative information travels 6 times faster than the truth. So we have to have a circle of influence, a nurturing circle. Who do you trust to get accurate information so you can make good decisions? You
Yes.
can, I mean, yeah, we can't get rid of the bad information, but the Bible says love overcomes, hate, or good overcomes evil, and truth shall make us free. If we have to know the truth, we can't just say, like it says in Isaiah, they call truth a lie and lie a truth. And, I'm not going down that whole biblical road, but I just think it's important that we know what is true and be validated. So check your sources. I like that fact that at the end of your slideshow, Dr. Linda, you had references where your information came from. So you weren't just making it up, and no one expects that you would. But I think we want people to be more intentional about references, and sources. Wikipedia is not a valid source,
It's
right?
not.
Anybody can put anything on Wikipedia. I mean, you know what I mean? So, journals, scientific journals, I mean, you have to learn how to check your sources, right? Go to experts. And that's why I want to affirm you, mental health therapists, because you guys are experts in your fields. You're clinicians, you are experienced, you are licensed, you are bonded. So, people that are listening know that you can get good information from you. This is not the last time we'll have a conversation like this, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. So,
Thank you.
let me see. Let me add this slideshow, see if this is the one. How
Mm-hmm.
does that look?
Yeah, that's the right one.
Bam. And you're in control.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a little bit better here, a little bit better.
So, Gloris, do you want us to ask questions during your presentation or wait to the end?
Oh yeah, that's fine. You can ask questions during it. Yeah. So we went over the beginning of it and kind of talked about what I was going to talk about: identifying your core beliefs, preventing self-sabotage, positive, negative core beliefs, empowering yourself by adapting your core beliefs. And one of the main things is like seeking help, identify what is causing distress, challenging distorted beliefs, develop alternative ways of thinking, believing in yourself, conclusion and references. So the introduction is, and you see right there in the middle, empower.
Mhm.
I am so big on that, and I believe in that. We have to empower. You have to empower yourself, and we have to empower each other. And I truly
Amen.
believe in that. And you have to lift yourself up. I so believe that, and I love that
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times people always believe that, oh, I need somebody else to tell me I'm beautiful, or I need somebody else to validate me. And we have to learn to validate ourselves because it begins with you. Because if you don't love yourself and if you don't respect yourself, how can anybody else do it for you?
Mhm.
It all
That's
begins with
good.
you. It begins with you, and I'm so big on that. I love that song, Mary J. Blige, "Good Morning, Beautiful." I mean, "Good Morning, Gorgeous." And in my group, the last week, the last one we did, my daughter played that for them, and we printed out the words and we processed those words. And part of the group was every morning, you guys, and my girls is listening. As y'all listening to that song, you got to listen to it in the morning, because it begins with you, to validate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are core beliefs? A person's most centralized ideas about themselves, others, and the world. And on this slide, it talks about these beliefs act like a lens through which every situation and life experience is seen. Because of this, people with different core beliefs might be seen in the same way situation, but think, feel, and behave in different ways. And on here, it lists the consequences of harmful core beliefs and
Mm.
what it causes: interpersonal problems, difficulty trusting, feelings of inadequacy in relationships, jealousy, overly controversial or aggressive behaviors, put others before your own needs. It can cause mental health problems, depression, anxiety, substance abuse, difficulty handling stressful situations, and low self-esteem. And a lot of
So,
what we talk about is perfectionism. Go
and
ahead.
I'm also looking at one of the ones that you just read, overly confrontational or aggressive. That
Yes.
anger goes with people all the way to their deathbed
Mm.
Yes.
because of these here wrong core beliefs or these
Mhm.
negative core beliefs that they learned and did not know how to correct.
Mhm.
And it's really sad, especially with Black people, because we do not know much about going to see a therapist.
Mhm.
I'm a big pusher on
Mhm.
going to see a therapist. We
Mhm.
have so much that's in our mind that people have to learn how to deal with and really stop carrying these baggage from one relationship to the next relationship to the next
Mhm.
relationship.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, when people go from divorce, separation, and then jump right into another relationship, they're
Mhm.
not learning anything about themselves. And so they have to learn how to stop and correct these here issues. I have to scratch my head and say, why am I so angry? You know, I'm originally from New York City. And when you drive in New York City, I know one time when being in the military, came back home and my sister picked us up at the airport. We didn't even get out the airport before she using all these cuss words to the other drivers. I'm saying, oh, gee, my heart is beating fast. You know, my stress level is way up. How could you do this every day, all day? But they do it. Every cab driver, just about every driver. It's amazing. And I said, take a deep breath. You know. But anyway, that's really important that people know where their anger is coming from.
Yeah, and if you think about it, anger is nothing but a secondary emotion, right?
Oh,
It's
now you're getting ready to sing, sister.
see?
I think you're getting ready to sing.
It's because you're not dealing with something, so you revert to anger. You know, you don't want to deal with something, so you become angry. You know, and it is what it is. It's secondary.
Yes.
I don't want to deal with something, so I become angry.
Yes.
And it is what it is.
Yes.
So if you think about relationships and so on and so forth, you haven't dealt with something, the underlying issue.
Yes.
So we repeat behaviors, and we're going to talk about that in here. It's a continuous repeated behavior over and over and over again. And you feel you're stuck in this repeated pattern.
Yes.
And until you get to the core of it, that core belief.
Yes.
You're going to continue the behaviors. You got this red flag, but you continue to go to it.
Get the bells going off.
Right.
Yeah, over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's those core beliefs. It all comes back down to those core beliefs. And until we fix that, you're going to stay in that pattern.
Yes.
So, facts about core beliefs. People are not born with core beliefs. These are learned behaviors. Core beliefs usually develop in childhood or during stressful or traumatic periods in adulthood. Information that contradicts core beliefs are often ignored. So that's one of those ones, and I tell my clients all the time, I said, I can sit here and tell you that you're beautiful. I can tell you that you're intelligent. I can tell you that you can change your life. I can tell you everything positive in the world, but until you believe it,
Yes.
and until you see it for yourself, it does not matter, because you're going to ignore what I'm saying until you're ready to make this change.
Yes.
It is what it is. And until you're ready, it does not matter. Negative core beliefs are not necessarily true, even if they feel true. Core beliefs tends to be rigid and long-standing. However, they can be changed.
Yes. That is so important.
Yeah, they can be changed. It's just like back to that name, Mike.
I hate to chime in, but I'm just thinking. I'm thinking about the negative things that we've imbibed growing up in this complexion, right? You know, we learned from a very early age, you know, that there's just not something negative about being in this skin. You know, the microaggressions come in images. You don't even have to. You don't have to be in school yet, you know, to start just seeing the images that kind of reinforce a narrative that suggests that just being Black, you know, has negative weight that's carried. Now, we've worked through it. I'm this age, right? I've been to school a lot. You know, it's like I've worked through it, right? But I know that it took time, it takes effort, and I just wanted to put that out there because we have to understand the layers and the levels that we're working through to get people to recognize the core belief and move forward to empowerment. You know, our hair, you know, our clothes, our, you know, how we speak, all kinds of things. In addition to what folks have to deal with, just like being in New York, like Dr. Linda said about the traffic, right? So that has nothing to do with our complexion. But if you add, you know,
and even the stigmatisms that we face for in our field. I mean, as we know, the field that we're in, only 5% of us are Black.
Right. I did an article. Well, both Mike and I did an article how important it is to go to see a Black therapist. It is so important. And same thing with all the fields that we in, because you don't have to go in with or listening to them biases that they may have or how they may treat us. And so all of the cards can be laid on the table if we are like-minded and see each other, you know, and know what we've been going through. So
Affirm our humanity. Yeah.
right. So
So
it's
we
really
face a lot. And I mean, and even as growing up as a child, me being as dark as I was, and a lot of things that I faced, that a lot of my core beliefs were formed on that and by that. I can remember
same
as
here.
a child, I had a lady, older lady, say to me, "Sugar, you would be pretty if you wasn't so black."
I've heard that before.
And that formed my core belief. I hated
Yes.
my complexion for so long, and that was something that I had to deal with and get over.
Right.
You know,
And sometimes it doesn't happen for a lot of people.
yes.
I know mine happened when after my undergrad in social work. It's like, wow. So listening to them negative core beliefs, no,
So
I
many
had to
of them.
really work my way out of that. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And it's so many of them that we still face and we still deal with on a daily basis. And one thing that I talk to my clients about a lot of times is thought stopping techniques. I use a lot of CBT therapy, and I'll talk about that today. And reframing those thoughts. Stop them. You know, stop, reframe, and have an answer for it.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
need to have an answer for those thoughts. When those thoughts are steady coming at you, they're steady coming at you. Have an answer for them. Talk back to those thoughts.
Yes.
You know, you have to, because they steady coming at you and they steady coming at you. Have an answer for them. Yeah.
And that's where your community is going to come in to
Mm-hmm.
help you, lift you up.
And your
Yeah.
self-affirmations.
Yeah. Affirmations.
All the
Sometimes you
time.
feeling weak.
Affirmations and gratitude statements. Come on now.
Come on, now.
Yeah.
Come on.
We are what we say we are.
Absolutely. Every single day. Every single day. So one of the questions is, how do core beliefs develop? Most are formed when we are children, like I said before, during stressful, traumatic situations. Thoughts we acknowledge, and we have a tendency of acknowledging our thoughts because we say them over and over again to ourselves. And we have a tendency of saying, "Oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, I was so dumb." You are acknowledging those things. Things
What
people
we
say
say we are.
How we view ourselves in situations. We let people say to us, or our spouses, things we say to our children. "Boy, you so dumb. Boy, you ain't gonna be nothing just like your daddy.
Yeah.
You stupid." How we view ourselves in situations. Those are things that lead us down the road. You wanna you don't believe in it yourself. I'm guilty, and I'm very transparent. And I like I say, I'm a work in progress. I tell people that all the time.
Well, we all are.
I'm a work in progress. And I say to people all the time, I say, I'm a counselor, I ain't no businesswoman. Oh, I gotta quit saying that. Because I walked out, and I tell people I walked out on faith when I opened my agency, because I was tired of some of the things that I was going through working for other people. And I would say all the time, "Oh, I'm a counselor, I ain't no businesswoman." I gotta stop saying that.
Yeah. You are what you say you are.
Yeah.
And you could be it
I'm
all.
learning the business world, you know.
You could be it all.
And I have to stop saying that, because I'm speaking that into existence. I just have to
That's
learn
right.
the other side. You know, I said, as good as I am as a counselor, I can be as a businesswoman. And I'm because I'm putting that core belief out there. So I have to turn it. I have to turn that negative thought. So the same thing I tell my clients all the time, the same things I tell you guys is the same things I have to work on within myself, because I'm a work in progress just like you are.
We have to adapt those core beliefs.
Adapt them to your heart.
Yes.
As a man thinks in his heart,
so is he.
Come on now.
There it is.
You don't throw that in there.
There it is. So a lot of times the things that we begin to say and believe as a child, we are carrying these thoughts into adulthood. We procrastinate. A lot of times people are procrastinating on things. So let's think about in our careers. We have these things that we want to accomplish and we don't know why we can't do them. We're procrastinating. We're not updating our resumes. We're not doing all these things and we don't know why. And it's like we had this core belief, I'm not good enough. I can't accomplish it. I'm putting too much on myself, so on and so forth. And it's because of that deep-rooted core belief that I'm not good enough. I'm putting too much on myself. I ain't gonna never be nothing anyway. We have to change those core beliefs and empower ourselves that I can be whatever I want to be. I can speak this into existence.
I'm feeling that as you're saying that. I'm feeling it from the standpoint of, I'm just thinking about the number of people that, have heard those words, and it's pressed them down and prayerfully, right? However we do it with, those who are in the field or listening or in a family to change those words because they press so hard into a person's psyche. They press down. I mean, one of our, our listeners talked about how they washed their face real hard because they wanted to be lighter, and finding out, they were just bruising their skin, that self-loathing only because of the negative messages. Where they're gonna get, I mean, we want people to come to therapy. We want them to come. We're clinicians. Come to our office. We'll counsel you. But we also recognize a whole lot of people don't. Right. So, I guess we need to also kind of put it out there where they can not only come to counseling, but also be in a nurturing circle, at least that will lead to a referral for deeper work.
Yes.
Yeah. And one of the key things is identify your core beliefs, and a lot of that comes from back in the old days, and one thing, especially with us Black folk, you talk to your pastor, you talk to your family, but you don't tell nobody your business.
Right.
You don't go tell nobody. You keep what goes on in our house, right? Ain't nothing wrong with going to therapy. Ain't nothing wrong with having somebody to sit down and talk to in a safe place. It's going to be confidential to brainstorm. That's what we do. When we sit in therapy, we brainstorming, we mind mapping, we figuring out how to put things in place. And that's what we're doing. You letting it out and you sitting with a professional to sort things out. And I tell my clients all the time, I don't know it all. But what I am is I'm master level and I know how to research. And we're going to figure it out together. We're going to peel back the layers of this onion and get to the root of it.
That's nice. That's good.
And that's what's important, to have somebody to share and help you understand where this is coming from.
And you know what? It's really sad when you have people that don't want to go to counseling because they living a defeated life. You don't know how many Blacks that would come in for marital counseling and what it took to get them there, because they don't want to tell people their business. So they don't mind their marriage failing and starting all over again and this and that and being miserable, actually being miserable.
Yeah.
And it's so sad. We hear the same story, and we even shared statistics with them that a marriage is having, people that have problems in their marriage keep that problem in that marriage for 4 to 7 years before they seek help. And then when they seek help, they want a microwave, solution.
Absolutely.
Like that.
I want an instant response, right?
Yeah. And I tell my clients all the time when they come in there, I said, listen, a marriage is 100. Oh, it's 50. No, it ain't no 50-50. It's 100. Because if both of y'all ain't putting 100% into it, it ain't gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. It's not a quick fix.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put your all into this.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't work like that, you know.
And I like to say to people that had several relationships in and out, in and out, in and out, they having something wrong with their core beliefs and they need to seek you.
There it is.
Go see Gloris. She'll tell you.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
Information to be at, in the book I review. So
yeah, I'm telling you, it's beautiful. I mean, a marriage can truly be beautiful, but it's hard work.
It's
hard work. Everybody, I tell them, cut the TV off. Because that's stuff you see on TV ain't real. But so many people are so caught up in these fantasies.
Exactly.
Caught up in fantasies of what relationships are, what friendships are. What their children are supposed to be.
Yeah. And how in the world can somebody meet somebody for 2 weeks or a week and get married? That's foolishness.
Yeah. Cut the TV off. Cut the TV off.
Yes, you're right.
Get off Facebook. Keep watching these fake friendships and these fake relationships.
Yes.
And you're comparing your life to that.
Exactly.
And you see so much of. I see all these people on Facebook and their lives are so happy. That's because that's that Facebook life. That's not their real life.
Right.
Comparing your life to somebody else.
And what is teaching our kids is to listen to that. And then when somebody say something mean and rotten about them and say they're 8 or 9 or 10 years old, go kill yourself because you're ugly and whatever.
Yeah.
They'll want to do that.
Yeah.
And
it's
so much damage is done because that's messing with their core beliefs. And it's like,
absolutely.
Wow. I mean, because really stats have shown over the last 5 years, suicide for young kids have skyrocketed.
You're right.
And then even with other people, they live in these fantasy worlds, that this is what life is supposed to be, and they can't handle it. They can't handle reality. And they take the easy way out. And it's sad.
Yes.
It's sad all the way around, and their core beliefs.
All right, let's change it.
Yeah, let's change them up.
Yeah.
Preventing self-sabotage. And that deals with, do you ever feel like you're not progressing or not motivated to achieve your goals? That imposter syndrome. I do not deserve this. I'm a failure. I'm going to fail. So what do? You do nothing. You make excuses. You drag your feet. You give up on life.
Oh, you're saying a lot, sister. A lot of people should be running to your group. You should have a whole bunch of folks at your group. When is your group now? What night?
We do it every other Thursday at 5. And what's so wonderful is Miss Lynn and Miss Dawn is getting some other groups going on. What we are doing is we're focusing a lot on group work, because what we realize is that I love individual work, but I love my groups. And the reason why we love the group work is because you realize I am not alone in what I feel.
Yes.
Because when somebody else is saying, I feel this, and you're like, oh my God, it's not just me. For somebody else to be going through the same thing I'm going through, to somebody to express, hey, wow, I feel this too. I got daddy issues too. I got mommy issues too.
Yes.
I'm not the only one who's been in a bad relationship. You know what I mean? It just means so much. I told my group the other day, like I told you, I'm transparent to them. I told them I don't want to lead this group. I want to sit down. I want to get told something too sometimes.
Yeah, but then you realize as you speak, you're hearing it. It's just like the word of God. Word of God, it grows in you the more you speak it out. Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. You can't keep it quiet because your faith is not increasing.
Yeah. So it is what it is, and it's wonderful. We're going to have Miss Lynn is planning on doing some groups, and they're gonna swing back and forth. It's gonna be a men's group one week, a women's group the other week, and so we want to get that going because there isn't enough group for the men.
Yeah.
So SPG is up and going, and we're going to be doing some groups through the foundation too.
Good.
So
Good.
God is blessing. God is blessing.
Yes.
All right,
Mhm.
awesome.
So positive and negative core beliefs. So what we find is that there is 6 negative core belief categories where people fall under vulnerability, competent, worthless, lovability, responsibility instinct, control instinct, and survival. These are kind of like the categories that they fall into.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. So when we look at them, I got a list of them up here. There's a lot of them listed, and I'm just going to throw out a couple of them. People have a tendency of their core beliefs to have this thing to say, I can't protect myself, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm unlovable, I feel worthless, I'm inadequate, or it's not safe to feel. Those are some of the ones that they come into. And what we try to do is when you have that, remember I said the words, have an answer for it, right? So if I do bad things, well, if you say that, adapt that. And this is where that empowerment comes in. I can learn from my mistakes. That's how you adapt that belief. That's where that
Mm-hmm.
empowerment comes from. Or I should have done something. Well, I did the best I could. That's where you had that answer for it. What we try to teach you is to turn it. Turn it.
Mm-hmm. Good. Good.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm powerless. Well, I can control what I can control. We talk about the serenity prayer all the time.
Yeah, I use it on a lot as
Oh yeah.
well.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm alone. I'm not alone. I got somebody. I got me. I got my God. Whatever it is, have an answer for it.
Mm-hmm.
hmm You can make your way. So when you realize what your positive core beliefs are,
Mm-hmm.
you start to pull from them to learn to adapt, to empower yourself. So part of empowering yourself is by adapting your core beliefs. And I gave you guys some examples of that. So the first step to empowering yourself is, of course, seeking help. hmm And
That's
once you
right.
get with a good counselor, find you a good counselor. And like I say, you get with one, if it ain't a good fit, find another one. You ain't got to stick with that person. It's like a job interview. And it's so funny. When I do an assessment, and I tell clients when they come to me, I will fire you. And I expect for you to fire me. If you ain't willing to do the work, my time is
Mm-hmm.
precious and so is yours.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with me for a little while. I'm going to stick with you for a little while. If you ain't willing to do the work, then I'm gonna fire you. If I can't get you to where you need to go, then you need to fire me and find the right therapist. That is so
Mm-hmm.
important. You have to find somebody that you click with,
Mm-hmm.
That's
you
good.
know, because if it ain't a good fit, it ain't it. It is what
Mm-hmm.
it is. You know what I mean? Find somebody that you feel comfortable with, that you can share your feelings with, that you build a good rapport with.
Do the work. Right.
The next thing that you have to do to empower yourself is you need to learn how to identify the situation causing your distress. If
Mm-hmm.
you're in a toxic relationship, find out why that relationship is toxic and why you keep continuing to stay in toxic relationships. What is drawing
Mm-hmm.
you to this person? Mhm. What part of your core belief is causing it? Identify the thoughts, beliefs, emotions, behavior tied to this distress.
Mm-hmm.
Because 9 out of 10, something in you is causing you. Are you drinking? Are you using drugs? Are you used to somebody talking to you bad? Are you people pleasing? Find out what in you is causing this. Are you thinking, I do bad things, I'm not good enough? We got to find out what is your core beliefs while you're in this situation. I'm inadequate. What is your core beliefs? What are you thinking? Now you got to learn how to challenge these distorted beliefs. Mhm. Then you got to develop alternate ways of thinking. And that's when those alternative thoughts come. I'm not alone. I
Mm-hmm.
am important. I am good enough, right?
Amen.
Yeah. That's when you begin to empower yourself and you begin to change who you are. And like I said, it ain't going to be easy, but the more you do it
And the more you empower yourself and the better you feel about you, you can begin to change who you are.
Mhm.
You can begin to build yourself up. And as you begin to build yourself up and as you begin to change you, you begin to change the people around you. And your children begin to see you empower you, and you begin to empower them.
Yes.
That's how we begin to change and break these generational curses in our community.
Yes.
Because as we know, it takes a village to raise a child. And that's
Mm-hmm.
how we can make changes in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And that's what I believe. And that's what we are pushing for in our community.
Yes.
So we have to stop what we call the cognitive distortions. And we do a lot of black and white thinking,
Mm-hmm.
catastrophizing. And that's what those cognitive distortions is. And so what I
Mm-hmm.
did was I listed some things on here. And anybody who wants a copy of my PowerPoint can have it because it goes into a lot of the black and white thinking, like the viewing all or nothing, catastrophizing, thinking that the worst is going to happen,
Mhm.
exaggerating, filtering, because I don't want to bore you out with all the terminology and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's why I say anyone who ever wants a copy of this so that you can understand some of the core belief types of thinking and stuff. I make my clients, we do this game. And what I do is I give them this worksheet and I teach them these words. And then they have to, when they do it, they have to identify it. They be like, oh no, I know I ain't around here labeling it. I know I ain't around here labeling it. And we laugh about it.
Mm-hmm.
Once you can identify that you're doing it, oh, am I discounting around here? Oh no, I know
Mm-hmm.
I'm discounting. And they laugh about it. And they'll come in and they'll say, Miss Glow, I know I wasn't discounting. I know I wasn't discounting. Because when they can identify when they're doing these negative thinking, then they can stop it and they can laugh at it.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes them stop the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say, oh, no, I didn't do the self-blaming. No, I didn't do it. Oh, I was able to stop it. I was able to stop it because they could identify
Right,
the
right.
negative
That's
self.
good.
And we make a game out of it and we laugh
Mm-hmm.
about it because you have got to learn to laugh at yourself so that you can
Mm-hmm.
stop
We do
these.
that with emotions.
Yes.
If you can name it, you can tame it.
There you go. Because you until you get insight into what you're doing, you don't
Right.
keep doing it. You get
Absolutely.
insight, you
Mhm.
can stop the behavior.
Outstanding.
Yeah. So that's the way we do it at Gloris Griffin Counseling Services.
Good.
Yeah. So that's where we're at. So believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there is something inside of you that is greater than any obstacle.
Good. Good. That's nice.
And that's my presentation.
Outstanding. We certainly
Thank you.
appreciate that, Gloris. That was outstanding. And I want to just and also thank you, Dr. Linda, for your presentation. I love the idea, the fact that we're able to collaborate as fellow mental health clinicians
Mm-hmm.
that are African American, because we understand that it's only a very small percentage of providers that have this expertise. So we want to expand the network. We want to encourage people to get help where they can get help, participate in groups. You talked about your group, and there'll be other groups. And then we'll be working with Dion Dowdy at the United Returning Citizens for groups, some group work. I think a lot of times people can approach mental health in a group, and then they can say, oh, okay, maybe I can uh, uh, dig a little bit deeper for some extra work. Most health insurance covers it. And a lot of times we work with clients who have no insurance, because we hate to turn anyone away because we know how deep the problems are. And if they raise their hand and say, I have an issue, our hearts kind of break to see them walk away. So I want to thank you guys for providing this forum this evening. And I'll let our listeners know, subscribers, say, hey, more to come. The main thing was dispelling disinformation and misinformation and providing credible communication, information, and empowerment. So communicate, educate, and motivate. That's what we're about here at the Buckeye Review. You can pick up a copy, see us online. But more importantly, we're going to be here using this format every week And at some point, it will be every day. But for now, it's going to be every week. So next week, Betty Dobson will be here to talk about some Black history facts, how young people have impacted the movement for progress. And because it's African American History Month, and for us, every day is African American history, because what we have pushed for is for America to be the America it says in its documents, for equality and fairness and liberty. It's always been in the documents, but it's always been sort of unfairly processed. We are pushing for it to be fair in the voting booth, at church, in the community, in city council, and every place that we can. We encourage other people to expand their network of empowerment so America can be the America that it says on paper. But whether
Amen.
it does or does not, we're going to do what we can. We can't sit down and fold our hands and say, let somebody else do it. It's not going to happen. It's never happened in the past. It's always been agitation. So we're going to continue to agitate in a loving way, credible information, dispelling disinformation. So thank you very much. Thank you. I want to thank our technical assistance team, Aline and Sam Harris, Evan Banks, and look for more information coming soon. This is going to conclude our broadcast for now. The Lord bless you. Stay safe. Vaccinate. Peace out.
Bye-bye.
Bye.